Welcome back to The New Health, and I'd like to introduce you today to Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. So Adam, you are here to speak with us about attachment styles, and please tell us a little bit about what that has to do with health and wellness.
Yeah, so really quick, attachment is the way that we form trusting, fulfilling, and transparent relationships with other human beings, and the way we learn who to trust, because you have to discern that. And we learn this in childhood. We learn it the moment we're born, over the first 6 months, over the first 6, even 12 years. And we develop into attachment styles. If we develop secure attachment, we learn that people will work with us, that transparency is good, that we can trust people, and we learn a good filtering process for exactly who to trust and who not to trust. But for most people, actually most people nowadays, 65% of people, that's not the case. We learn that we cannot trust other people. We learn that we have to be closed off. We learn that we have to be a little bit secretive, not sneaky or manipulative, but secretive. And we have to please other people in a variety of ways. And there's a couple of ways that that can get broken, and it's impacting our world in a tremendous way right now. But for health, it destroys your long-term health. It destroys your daily health, your long-term chronic health. Everything gets destroyed if you have broken attachment.
So tell me a little bit about the neurochemistry. We've talked a little bit about the hormones or how that's related to this health component.
Mm-hmm. So the most common attachment problem that we see is called avoidant attachment style. And people with this style would never diagnose themselves with it because it's not even a diagnosis, it's a descriptor of survival. These are survival adaptations for broken environments. If nobody is going to work with you, and if your brain learns early on that other people are arbitrary, that they are untrustworthy, that nobody's going to help you, nobody's coming to save me is a thing that avoidant people say quite often. If you learn that other people, when they get stressed out, that they are completely untrustworthy, so you have to play your cards close to the vest and make sure that nobody gets the best of you, you can develop what's called avoidant attachment style. An avoidant attachment style is designed to keep you strong and programmed properly in an environment without support. So you can be incredibly successful in finances and business, in any areas where high achievers are found typically, but your brain chemistry is very off. It turns off through the high levels of cortisol that you get, the stress hormone, as you know. With that high level of cortisol, it blocks your receptors for oxytocin, which is the love hormone. It makes you feel safe and bonded and connected to people. But it also shuts down any events where you would get serotonin. So people with high levels of performance usually have very low serotonin, the long-term satisfaction neurotransmitter that makes you feel content, warm, and fulfilled in yourself at all. So you shut down all of those pieces, feeling good and connected to other people, ability to bond, feeling content in your life, and you also block out most of your receptors for being able to bond with other people by solving stress, vasopressin bonding. So you're just flooded with cortisol. And the only thing that's left to you to bring your nervous system down is dopamine. So you have to use strategic dopamine drops throughout your life, throughout your day even, to try to bring your nervous system down and give yourself any kind of pleasure.
So when you were talking about from a young childhood age with the for the avoidance attachment, so avoidant. And so there were 3 attachment
There are
styles.
3. We can go into them if you wish.
So, okay, just name the 3 for me.
Absolutely. So there's avoidant, the primary one that most people experience. There is anxious, which is approval seeking, that says, I am the problem. Other people are not. I am inferior somehow, and people can see it. So I need to cover up. I need to please other people so they don't abandon me. It's fear of abandonment, and it's fear of powerlessness, that I am only having power and control in my life and safety when other people approve of me and take care of me. And there is a blend of the two. Everyone always asks. There is a blend of the two that we would call disorganized style, meaning it cannot be organized in either category. It's both.
Okay, and you said the most common is the avoidance attachment style. So what you were speaking about for dopamine and cortisol, so from a young age, certain receptors aren't used in this?
Absolutely. So the young child is high level cortisol all the time. And what this looks like is high performance. It looks like they can achieve, they can think really fast, they're often high intelligence. It just optimizes you for raw survival. And it takes you to a heightened place where you are always on, always aware, always focusing, always sensitive, always tracking what other people are doing, because that keeps you safe. Their mood changes are your unsafety. You have to be aware of other people's mood changes to see if they're going to betray you or screw something up for you. So they do this from young childhood, but the only way to manage it is with dopamine. Short-term, temporary little boost of feeling good. It could be candy, It could be as you grow up, it could be more adult materials. It can be a variety of chemicals, a variety of activities. In romantic relationships, as they date, it's finding a new partner every 6 months as the novelty dopamine wears off. It's just an endless flood of dopamine because they have nothing else to bring themselves down at the end of the day.
Okay, so when they have this high cortisol and then dopamine to kind of counteract
That's it.
that they can't, and so what happens long term?
So long term, your benefits in the early stages of life are fantastic. You'll focus better than other people do. You'll stay away from drama. You probably will grind all the way up to the C-suite executive positions real fast. Or you'll start a company because you don't trust other people to have control of your life. Or you can manage your team really effectively because you don't get sentimentally connected to them as much, which is great. And your finances are great. You can control them. Money, they're not avoidant people are not greedy, but they see money as safety because they can turn it into any other resource, and it's the only thing they trust because they can't trust people, so they trust money. So they are very good with money, usually, and they control the nest of it, and it's great for them in the first half of life. Now what happens is either they don't find a partner because they refuse to trust anybody, or they do find a partner and the relationship dies over time because they don't feel bonded and proper connected. The other person doesn't either. And if they happen to connect with an anxious partner and they have babies together, they don't bond properly with their children because you're in a survival state. So you don't bond with your kids, you don't bond with your spouse. Your kids and your spouse may turn against you. You probably lose a lot of things later in life. This is why we see a lot of midlife crises, but also that 15, 20-year divorce, alienation of children, very few friends. And then the later half of life, all the piper comes for his due, right? The piper comes for his due, and you see that your immune system is trashed. You see that the constant stress has destroyed your body, a massive level of heart problems in the 50s and 60s, a just complete shutdown of your body system. So you spend all of the money that you've spent the first half of life building, you just blow all of that money into the medical system in the second half to just keep yourself barely functioning as your family leaves you, as you lose everything that you have built. I've seen this again and again and again. It is so heartbreaking.
I think it's important for us to also say that this is, for people who are watching, this isn't a death sentence. You know, this doesn't have to be. And there are ways that people can work with this for helping themselves with learning about these attachment styles.
This is the number one message I want to spread because I've spent years talking about attachment, and it's fortunately has brought it into mainstream. And I've noticed a lot of mainstream articles in the last 6 months, in the last year, all of a sudden talking about attachment now that I've gone viral everywhere. But the thing that they all get wrong, the thing that everybody gets wrong, so terribly wrong, and I hate it, is they think that your attachment style is your astrology sign. This is just what I am, and I will never ever change, and I'm doomed, or other people have to accommodate me, and this is just what I am now, and that's not the case. The goal is to correct this problem with avoidant clients who come in, for example. I work with them to build 2 or 3 trusting relationships. That involves learning your patterns for how to trust people. It's called the 4 levels of trust. When you learn and you can discern exactly which people to trust, only 2 or 3, that brings your cortisol level down. And when you manage your nervous system properly, I know you help a lot of people do this, when you manage your nervous system properly, that cortisol dissolves and goes away, and then what happens is your oxytocin receptors suddenly open up and you can properly bond with those people that you know you can trust. You can bond with them hormonally. And it's a rush of experience that people have never felt. They've never felt their joy and that pleasure in life. Avoidant people only get about 20% of the pleasure of life, and they're leaving 80% on the table. When you get the oxytocin rush, you open up and connect, you get the serotonin rush. This is where you get that contentment, that bonding feeling. You belong to a tribe and you are cared for. You only need 2 or 3 secure relationships to change your life. And as you know, that improves your immune system, it improves your mental functioning, your fertility, everything across the board.
So you mentioned 4 levels of trust.
4 levels of trust.
Would you tell us what those
Absolutely.
4 levels?
I have no problem with
that.
that. So I've just lied to you. There's 5 levels of trust.
5
So
levels
avoidant
of
people
trust?
out there are like, I knew he was lying to me. Level 1 is there's level 0. And everybody starts at level 0. We don't give trust away for no reason. Trust has to be proven. Why do you trust somebody? You can hope that someone will work out and allow them at level 0 and allow them to begin to test for level 1, but every person begins at level 0 or they go back to level 0. Level 1 is, are you consistent and self-policing with an explicit code of conduct that other people can track. So do you correct yourself back to it when you make a mistake, or do other people have to make you and force you to be good? If the avoidant person has to force you to be good, they will never trust you. If you're self-policing and consistent, especially during stress, and you say, okay, I want to lie, but I am an honest person. I cannot lie. I have to tell you the absolute truth, even if it kills me. So here we go. Let's get through it together. That will amp up their trust and respect for you slowly. And if you can begin to do that more and more, when you get it wrong, you self-correct. That's level 1. This is base acquaintance. They will remember your name and allow you in their home occasionally. It's not friendship yet, but that's level 1. Level 2 is like it. It is, are you consistent and self-policing with long-term goals? Do you have long-term goals that you can tell this avoidant person? And can they track that? And do you always aim for it? Even during stress, you don't abandon it and say, okay, I want to build a loving family, but I'm going to go smoke crack in my garage. No, it's, I am going to build a successful, healthy family and manage my stress appropriately. When you get it wrong, do you self-correct back so they don't have to? This is level 2. This is a basic friendship, or maybe beginning to date, right?
So I'm going to stop you here.
Go ahead.
Because we are about out of time.
I hear you.
So we are on level 2, and I think next week we should start off with our level 3 and 4.
That sounds fantastic.
And can you please share with our audience how they can find you and connect with you about what you're working on right now?
Absolutely. So I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. My website is adamlanesmith.com. You can find my book, you can find my courses, my coaching, and my new retreat that's coming toward next year.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Any call to action, any last little bit that somebody could do right at this moment?
Absolutely. Sit down and write out a list of all the people in your life right now and give them a score, 0, 1, or 2. You'll probably be surprised by the numbers of people in your life.
What is the score for?
Trust.
Oh, 0 is the least amount of trust? 2 is
0 is I don't know.
0 is I don't know. 1 is?
What we just talked about.
Okay. Oh, on the scale of 1, 2.
Scale of 1,
and
2,
stay tuned
0,
for
1,
next
and 2.
week when we get to the next
Correct.
levels. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming with us today, Adam Lane Smith. We'll see you next week.